Welcome everyone to India's largest learning platform, Unacademy, and a special welcome on UPSC CSE optional channel. You can subscribe to Unacademy and become a part of Unacademy family. There are many benefits of Unacademy subscription. You can attend daily live classes. Classes are highly engaging. You can ask your doubts, answer polls are conducted. So in a way, the classes are quite interesting. You can also attend live tests and quizzes through which you can evaluate your performance. The courses of Unacademy are structured, properly planned. You also get unlimited access to the platform through which you can see live and recorded courses. For this, you have to download Unacademy's learning app from Play Store. After downloading the app and subscribing to the platform, you can prepare with 100 plus top educators. For example, you can take classes of Brunal Patel sir, Roman Seni sir, and other 100 plus top educators. Syllabus is comprehensively covered on the platform, be it prelims, mains, or interview. So all the phases of exam are properly covered. There are multiple courses available: polity, geography, science, technology, NCERT, history, optional environment, art and culture, current affair, Indian economy, practice and strategy, answer writing courses. So many courses are available. You can join all the courses. For UPSC CSE subscription, there are multiple packages available. So you can go from 1 month to 24 month, but it is generally advisable that you should go for 1 year or 2 year subscription. Now why you should go for 1 year and 2 year subscription? Because usually it takes time to cover the entire syllabus of UPSC prelims and mains examination. So at least you need 8 to 10 months to cover the entire syllabus. So it is advisable that you should go for 1 year or 2 year subscription. Also, for 1 year subscription, the fees is 44,000 rupees, but you can use my code AJ01 and get it 10% off. After discount, the fees will be 39600. Similarly, for 2 year, after using AJ01, you get 10% off and the fees will be 57600. There is also a unique subscription scheme of Unacademy, which is iconic subscription, under which you get to prepare under the guidance of mentor or a coach for 1 year or 2 year. Now key features of iconic subscriptions are: you are assigned a personal coach. He will also help you in daily mains question answer practice. Your study planner is prepared and a personalized feedback is given to you. Now it is a unique package where one-to-one guidance is provided to you. 1 year iconic subscription 64,000 rupees, but use code AJ01, get 10% off, and you just have to pay 57600. Similarly, for 2 year it is 89100. Now one important notification: by 24th October 2020, there is a fee hike in Unacademy subscription. Now if you are planning to take a subscription of Unacademy, which you should definitely do, so use code AJ01 and subscribe today itself or by tomorrow itself, because by 24th October there is a hike in subscription fees, so you will end up paying more fee. So subscribe now. My name is Ashpal Janwa, qualified for UPSC mains 2 times, RS examination 3 times, 3 to 5 years of coach teaching experience. You can join me on my Telegram channel. Also follow me on Unacademy. Now today we are starting a entire brand new module, which is GS answer writing strategy module, and our first video is strategy of GS paper 1. master strategy of answer writing. The next video will come master strategy of answer writing GS paper 2, similarly GS paper 3, GS paper 4. Now why I am taking separately each paper, why GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4, I could take a combined strategy also, because the nature of GS paper are different from each other. For example, GS paper 1 is more of a static nature, GS paper 2 and 3 are more of current based, GS paper 4, which is ethics and integrity paper, which requires different set of skills. So that's why we are taking different strategies for each paper. Initial 4 video will be based on strategy, then I will share you fodder material and I will also make you write answers. So we will move in this fashion. Join all the courses, join all the lectures of this series, so that you can get benefited from complete series. Now what is there with us in this package? First we will see, as usual, the very first step is to understand the demand of examination. So we will have an overview of examination. We will also see toppers marks of GS paper 1. Also, to understand the demand of examination, we will focus on two things. First, syllabus. We will examine the syllabus. Similarly, we will evaluate last 10 years paper of GS paper 1 to understand what is the demand of examination. Since it is a comprehensive video on master strategy, so I will also be sharing indicative book list. Now what is indicative book list? The books which you can refer for preparation of your syllabus, and at the end we will answer writing tips for each particular section dealt, and it will be covered in detail, where I will be covering each particular section in detail. Now there are a lot of things in this video. We will see the overview of examination, toppers marks, topper of GS paper 1, syllabus. Syllabus is properly structured so that you get to know the refined syllabus. It is properly organized. Then we will discuss about syllabus of GS paper 1 in organized way. Last 10 years paper, we will do analysis of last 10 years paper. For example, you have taken GS paper 1 2019 mains examination. Paper analysis, which is very important. After 20 questions of GS paper 1, how many questions are coming from which particular section? World geography 1 question, art and culture 1 question. So everything will be detailed in this particular section. I have also analyzed last 5 years of GS paper 1 question section wise. So we will see how much weightage was given to a particular section: history, art and culture, modern history, world history, post independence. Similarly, society, geography. Then directives of GS paper. We have got many directives in GS paper. Now these directives make each answer different from other, so you have to know the meaning of each directive. Indicative sources of all the book list: art and culture, history, world history, society, geography will be covered in detail, myths and realities. Then we will see answer writing of each particular section. For example, we are going to see answer writing, how to write answers of geography section. What are the key features to make your answer look good? So then we will practice an answer for 2019 paper. Similarly, answer of society section. Next, answer of art and culture and history section. So this class is going to be very comprehensive class, where each and every aspect of your preparation will be dealt in detail. So stay with me till the end of class. This class is going to be very beneficial to the beginners as well as experienced players. So stay with me till the end of class. Let's start with overview of examination. In mains examination, we have got 7 papers. First paper is essay paper. We have taken a comprehensive module on essay paper. Essay paper is 250 marks. Then we have got 4 GS paper. GS paper 1 to 4, which are basically paper 2, 3, 4 and 5. So GS is 1000 marks. We have got 2 optional paper of 250 marks each. So total 1750 marks of mains examination. We have also got 2 qualifying papers. Now we are talking about paper 2, which is GS paper 1. It consists of Indian art and Indian heritage and culture, history, geography of world and society portion, 250 marks. So we will be focusing on this particular paper. Similarly, we will focus on paper 3, 4 and 5, which is GS paper 2, 3 and 4. So let us see. First we will see the marks of topper, how they are getting marks in GS papers. Focus is on GS paper 1, 2018 Kanish Kataria, 98 marks in GS paper 1. In other GS paper he is getting good marks. 2017 Anudeep Durishetty, 123 marks. In other paper 123, 136, 195. Nandini Kiar 131 marks. Now here I am marking a star. 103, 116, 104. Tina Dabi 119. 2015 84, 111, 110. Ira Singhal 103. Gaurav Agarwal 85. Now you can see that some toppers are not getting so good marks in GS paper 1, but there are people who are getting 120 plus. He is getting 123 in GS paper 1. She is getting 131 marks in GS paper. So it is possible to score good marks in GS paper 1 as well. Tina Dabi 119, which is also a quite decent score. So yes, though the GS paper 1 is static, it is difficult to score in GS paper 1, but people are getting good marks as well, 120 plus marks, many toppers. Now let us see some of the highest marks in GS paper 1. Priyank Kishore 111 marks, 111. Apurva Pandey 110. Anudeep 123. Nandini Kiar 131. Tina Dabi 119. So people are getting 110 plus marks in GS paper. So it is possible to get good marks in GS paper 1. Welcome everyone. So let us see the syllabus of examination. Now this is syllabus of GS paper 1. Indian culture, freedom movement, post-independence consolidation and reorganization, history of world, Indian society and geography. Now the syllabus here is appears a bit clumsy, so I have organized this syllabus for you. Basically GS paper 1 can be divided into 3 or 4 parts. First part is history portion, second part is art and culture, third is geography, and fourth portion is Indian society. So we have got 4 portion of GS paper 1. Let us see each and every part. Now in history we have got 4 parts. It is ancient history of India, second is medieval history, third is modern history, fourth is world history. So entire history will come on first part of GS paper 1, ancient, medieval, modern history, history of world. Now modern history is divided into two parts up to the freedom struggle movement part A, and post independence consolidation and reorganization within the country, which is part B. So modern history in two part. So ancient, medieval, modern, modern into part A and B up to the freedom struggle. Also after freedom movement, post independence, reorganization of India. World history is very clearly given in your syllabus, where clear demarcation of syllabus is there. Will include events from 18th century such as industrial revolution, world wars, withdrawal of national boundaries, colonization, decolonization, political philosophies like communism, capitalism, socialism, their forms and effect on society. So there is a clear syllabus of world history. Similarly, modern history of India part A syllabus is clearly demarcated from middle of 18th century till until present. Significant events, personalities, issues, the freedom struggle, its various stages, and important contribution or contributors from different part of the country. So modern history is also clearly given. Post independence consolidation and reorganization. So these are basically five parts of history portion. Let's move forward. Now we will see each and every part separately while answer writing, because I will tell you relative importance of which portion is more important than other portion, where you have to lay more emphasis, where you can fetch good marks. Second is art and culture. Now the syllabus of art and culture appears short, but it is actually not short. So you have to devise a strategy to the maximum input, minimum input and maximum output ratio. So art and culture is salient aspect of art forms, literature, architecture from ancient to modern times. So focus should be on art form, literature and architecture. It is also basically a history part, but we are dealing with art and culture separately. Next portion is geography. Salient features of world's physical geography. Distribution of key natural resources. So basically our geography portion is revolve around world geography. It is focused around world geography. Salient features of world geography. Distribution of key natural resources across the world, including South Asia and Indian subcontinent. Factors responsible for location of primary, secondary and tertiary sectors. Industries in various parts of the world, including India. So it giving a hint that Indian geography is also part of geography section. Important geographical phenomena like earthquake, tsunami, volcanic activity, cyclone. Geographic phenomena are covered. Geographic features and their locations. Changes in critical geographic feature, including water bodies and ice caps, and in flora and fauna, the effect of such changes. So this particular section dealing with geography mainly focused around world geography, but Indian geography is also part and parcel of it. Natural resources, in the sectors primary, secondary and tertiary sector. Some phenomena, geographical phenomena, earthquake, tsunami, volcano and cyclone. Also change in geographical features. So this can be, syllabus can be divided into four part: 1, 3, 2, 3 and fourth is change. So it is geography syllabus. Let's move ahead. Indian society, which is most dynamic part of our syllabus. Now the question of on Indian geography are current affair based, current issues based. So let's see the syllabus. Salient feature of Indian society, diversity of India, role of woman and women's organization, population associated issues, poverty and development issues, urbanization, their problems and their remedies, globalization effect on Indian society, social empowerment, communalism, regionalism and secularism. So broad themes of society section is given. Now let us talk about the scoring section of GS paper 1. The most scoring section of GS paper 1 is geography portion, because the questions in geography sections are very, answer to the geography section of geography questions are objective and the questions are easy and straightforward. So you can fetch good marks. You can use map, diagram, facts to fetch good marks in geography section. Also modern history question, there is a scope of getting good marks. Talking about Indian society section, the question from Indian society section are current issues based, but since there is a lot of subjectivity in your questions, so it becomes difficult to deal with society question, but we will try to devise a strategy about how to deal with society section. Now the most important thing, take printout of your syllabus. Remember the syllabus by your heart and soul. Now this direction applies to each and every aspirant of UPSC examination. Are you maybe a veteran player or a newcomer? You should remember the syllabus by your heart and soul. Every line of syllabus, meaning of that particular line, you should remember about it. Also, take a printout of syllabus and always carry the syllabus with you whenever and wherever you are reading. You should carry the syllabus with you so that it is actually guiding force. It is somebody who is telling you the right way. So take printout of syllabus, remember it and always carry the syllabus with you. GS paper 1 syllabus. So we have seen portions of GS paper 1. First portion is history, where Indian ancient, medieval and modern history is covered. Second portion is world history. Third is art and culture. Fourth, geography. 5, society. So basically first paper can be divided into 5 parts. Now we have seen the syllabus, we have studied the syllabus. Let's go through last 10 years GS paper 1 and what are the benefits of going through last 10 years paper. First, if you go through last 10 years paper, you will know the demand of examination. So demand of examination can be known by two sources. First is syllabus, second is previous year questions. So here we are focusing on previous year question. You also get to know the focus area of UPSC or important areas from which questions are repeatedly being asked. You also get to know the pattern of examination, and the pattern of GS paper is changing year after year. Present pattern is there are GS paper 1 250 marks. They are asking 10 questions, 150 words, 10 marks for each question. Next 10 questions, 250 words, 15 marks. So it is the pattern of GS paper 1 in 2019. It might change, so you have to know the pattern of examination. Usually they ask 20 questions, total marks are 250. You also get to know the trend of UPSC examination through last 10 years paper. What is trend? Which particular section is giving more weightage in comparison to other section, where you should focus upon whether the questions are current based, whether they are static, whether they are interdisciplinary. So trend can be known by last 10 years paper. You also get to know the difficulty level of paper, which is very important. Other factors like directives. GS questions are based on directives. So you get to know, you must know the difference between various directives. You can join me on my Telegram channel unacademy_ashpal. Also use my referral code AJ014 for taking Unacademy subscription. So there are various directives. If you go through last 10 years paper, you will see the directives like he will ask you to explain something, elucidate, comment on something, examine, critically examine, discuss, substantiate, elucidate and analyze. Now a single question having different directives will have different answers because focus area of question will be shifted. For example, I am taking a particular question and I am asking you to discuss the question. Similarly, I am asking you to comment upon the question. So it will have two different answers. So you should know the difference between various directives. I will prepare a separate video on directives so that you get to know the difference between each directive. I will also take example of each directive so that we can know the difference between how to write the question as per the demand of various directives. So we have seen last 10 years paper and what are the benefits of going through last 10 years paper. Let's go through 2019 mains examination. Now I don't want you to read the entire paper. I want to draw your attention towards some of the highlighted keywords. For example, question number 1, highlight. Question number 2, elucidate. Question number 3, examine, assess, discuss, can, discuss, 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 what. One more thing, question number 1 to 10, he is asking you to write in 150 words. Question number 1 to 10, writing in 150 words, so 10 marks to each question, 1 to 10. Moving ahead, question number 11 to 20, he is asking you to write in 250 words. So question number 11 to 20, 250 words, 15 marks each. Now give your attention towards highlighted words, elaborate, assess, explain, what, how, do, elaborate, what and discuss. So some of the directives are repeatedly being asked. For example, there are many questions on discussing the topic 1, 2, 3, 5, 4. Also, five questions are asked on directive which is discuss. Similarly, assess, elaborate, explain, what, why, how. So these are some of the directives. We will take each directive separately and try to understand with example. I will take a separate class on directives. Now 2019 paper, I have analyzed this paper for you. This is the way how you analyze the paper. Since we have 5 portion in GS paper 1, so I have divided which questions are coming from which particular section. For example, history portion, where I have compiled ancient, medieval and modern history together 4 questions are asked out of 20 from history portion. Question number 2, 3, 11 and 12. Now question number 1 to 10 are 10 marker, 11 to 20 are 15 marker. So basically history portion 20 plus 30, 50 marks questions are asked from history, ancient, modern and medieval. Similarly, there is only one question from world history, question number 1, which is 10 marker. Now, why we are doing this? You want to know the relative weightage of particular section. So, history has got a weightage of 10 by 250. So, which is very less weightage to history, world history portion. Now, what we do? We get carried away while our preparation, where I am spending 1 month. During mains examination, we get carried away, and suppose I am spending my 1 month of time on preparing world history because I like world history. Now, whether you like world history or not, you have to see the relative significance of particular portion. Now, world history during mains examination time, where you have got 3 to 3.5 months, you should spend not more than 5 days on world history, because they are asking you a single question of 10 marker which you can even live, or the question will be so easy that you will be able to answer even without reading it. So my uh, purpose of saying this is you have to know the relative importance of particular section. So don't get carried away with your emotions. Try to think in terms of getting selected in IAS examination. Now, entire history, ancient, medieval and modern history is 50 marks. So weightage is 5 by 250, 20% weightage of ancient, modern and medieval. So here also you can focus upon which area you want to focus. Art and culture, only one question. Question number, single question, 10 marker. Uh, Similarly, geography, there are 8 questions are asked. So geography is very important portion. What we want to know? We want to know the relative significance of a particular section. Geography, 8 questions. Question number 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 40 marks plus these 4 question, 15 marks each. So 60 marks. So total 100 marks out of 250 are asked from geography portion. So since geography is very scoring, you can use uh, maps, diagram, facts in geography portion. So you can fetch good marks in geography portion. It becomes very important. Society, which we assume that society is not that much important, 6 questions are asked. So it is more important than your entire history. 6 questions from society. Question number 8, 9, 10. So this question carries 30 marks. Question 18, 19, 20. This question carries 45 marks, 15 each. So 75 marks from geography. Now entire history portion, including world history, they are asking you 60 marks. 50 plus 10, 60 marks. Society is 75 marks. So more importance should be given to society section. This way you analyze your paper. Similarly, you can analyze 2018 paper, 17 paper. So this work of 2019 was done on behalf of me. So history portion 20% weightage, world history only one question, art and culture only one question. I think there is a mistake in this serial number, so you can cross check it. Geography 100 marks. Indian society again 75 marks, which is very important. So two portion which are very important for GS paper 1 is most important is geography first, then it is society portion which becomes very important. Now among history, where you are focusing on art and culture, world history and other portion of history, you need to focus upon modern history because more question will be from modern history. Now what I have done for you, I have analyzed last 5 years paper where I have taken each particular section of history, society, geography, to help you out the relative weightage of each particular section. Now art and culture 2015 paper 25 marks question were asked, 2016 25, 17 10 marks, 35 marks and 10 marks. So art and culture portion need not to be given that much of importance. Modern history is most important portion in history. So I will rate it number 1. In modern history 25 marks, 37.5, 65 marks, 10 mark and 50 marks. So there is up and down in question from modern history, but it is relatively more important from all the history portion. World history 25, 12.5, 10 marks, 15, 10 mark. Not so important. Post independence history, there is no question from post independence in last 5 years. So even if you do not have time, you can ignore this portion. So in history, relative weightage should be first art, modern history, second art and culture, third world history. Now ancient and medieval history are also part of this art and culture portion because usually questions are asked not about the fight and battles. The questions are asked on art, social changes, cultural changes which are part of art and culture. So most important portion is modern Indian history, second art and culture, third world history. Post independence, if you have got time you can read it, but if you do not have time, I won't say you thoroughly ignore it, but spend less time on it. So why we are doing this analysis? We want to know our input output ratio. So among history portion, most of the time should be spent on modern Indian history. Then you should go for art and culture, then on world history. Then at the last, go for post independence history. So ranking 1, 2, 3 and 4. Fine. Let's move ahead. Society portion, society I have also divided according to various themes. First theme is development, population and poverty. Second theme is woman. Third, globalization. Fourth, religion, empowerment and unique feature of society. These are 4 themes. Now questions are repeatedly being asked from these themes. First theme 2015 25 marks, 12.5 marks, 0, 40 marks and 10 marks. So on an average 20 or 25 marks are asked from this particular theme. Second theme on woman 12.5, 0, 0, 15 and 25. So questions are coming from this particular section, at least one question. Globalization, there is a question in every single year, 12.5, 12.5, 0, 15 or 15. So you can expect one question from this theme, one or two question from woman, one question from globalization. Now the most important portion of society theme is this particular portion, religion, empowerment, unique feature, secularism, that particular portion. So religion and secularism portion is very important. 37.5, 37.5, 50, 35 and 25. So you can expect 3 question or 3 to 4 question after total society portion from religion, secularism, empowerment and unique feature of Indian society. So ranking is number 1. Second, you can say number 2. Third is these two are almost equal, but I'm ranking woman at third and this globalization at number 4. So you can expect one question from woman, one question from here, one question from globalization, and at least 3 questions from religion, secularism, and empowerment. So basically, if we see the total weightage of history portion, it is 30% of entire weightage of paper. Out of 250 marks, 75 marks are being asked from history portion. But when we ignore the society is also carrying equal weightage. 75 marks are being asked from society section. So it becomes very important. Society should be given equal weightage to the history. We cannot ignore the society. It is easy to prepare society portion in comparison to history, because there you have to read ancient, modern, medieval, art and culture, world history. 5 things you have to read. But here you are reading only specific themes. Now most scoring topic from GS paper 1 is geography. I have divided my geography GS paper into various themes: disaster, physical geography, urbanization, natural resources, industries, and climate. These are major themes from which questions are being asked. First theme 2015, 0, 12.5, 15, 0, and 15. So you can expect one question from this particular section, or there will be no question. Physical geography, no question in these 2 years. 10 marker, 20 marker, 15 marker. So question may come or not from this particular section. Urbanization, there is 1 or 2 question, 25 marks, 20, 15, 15, 30. So you can expect at least 2 question from urbanization section. Natural resources, there are questions 25, 62.5. So many questions were asked from this section in 2016. 0, 10, 20. So it may ask you 1, 2, 3 question from this section. Industries 0, 0, 15, 30, 20. So 1 or 2 question. Climate, there are questions 37.5, 12.5, 60 or 10. So you can say he is asking you 2 to 3 question from climate section. So relative importance of each section, you can say most important section is climate. Then you can call natural resources also important, these 2 section, and then these 2 sections. So geography you can divide on the basis of this particular sections. Now total weightage of geography section is 40%. So out of 250 marks, 100 marks question comes from geography. So it becomes important portion. So focus more on geography. Then you can give equal attention to history and society portion. Let's move forward. So what we have done so far, we have seen the syllabus, we have analyzed the syllabus, we have also seen previous year question paper trend analysis. Where we have seen relative weightage of a particular section: society, history, and geography. History almost 30% weightage, society equal weightage to the history, geography is more weightage, which is 40%. So more attention should be given on history portion. These are directives. I will take a separate class on directive so that you are able to understand about the directives with example. Now learn the art of answer writing as per directive, which is very important, because same question asked under different 2 directives will have different answers, and examiner wants you to write your answer as per directives. So you should know the meaning of directives. Now let us come to the book list, which book you should refer for particular section. Now I have mentioned my book list as indicative sources. Indicative sources means I am giving you a hint towards a particular source. Now it is not that I am telling you to read this particular book, so you have to read this book. No, it is just an indicative. You can refer these books. These are important books. Now as per my personal experience, these books are important for you. You should read them, and I have focused on NCRTs plus standard books. So let us see art and culture, from where you should prepare art and culture. Now we have seen in 2019 there were one question from art and culture which was 10 marks. So you don't have to give too much time to art and culture. I will refer you one or two books. First is 11th class NCRT, an introduction to Indian art. This book you should must you it is a must read. This book you should read because it is NCRT questions comes from this topic. For example, Gandhara art question came in 2019. So Gandhara art is also mentioned in this NCRT, so you can refer it. Now next two books, basically these books are not for art and culture. Actually it is a NCRT of ancient India with R.S. Sharma. Now I won't ask you to read this NCRT for art and culture. Similarly, NCRT of medieval history, which is Satish Chandra NCRT. These two NCRT I will ask you to read for ancient and medieval history. Now how this NCRT are useful in art and culture, there are some chapters or a part of chapter from these particular NCRTs where you can find some theme of based on art and culture, so you can take reference to these themes. So for art and culture there is only one book we have discussed so far, 11th class NCRT. These two books can be referred, and you have to read these two books separately for ancient and medieval history. So I am asking you that when you are reading these two books for ancient and medieval history, ancient history R.S. Sharma and medieval history Satish Chandra, I am mentioning here to read these two books. So when you read this book for ancient and medieval purposes, see whether there is art and culture theme in your book or not, and use that particular theme in your art and culture portion. So these two books are not so separate. So far we have discussed only one book. Second source for art and culture is CCRT website, which is what it is Government of India website. So you can use this particular site. So two sources for art and culture, they are sufficient. You can also watch, since you have joined Unacademy, so you can watch Unacademy videos. If you want to read extra, now there are questions on art and culture from current affair. Now you read Hindu newspaper. I'm going to tell you particular section of Hindu newspaper which is based on art and culture. On Hindu, every Friday there is a Friday review. Friday review is basically based on art and culture. You also read monthly magazine of current affairs, so that can also be used. So basically there are two sources of art and culture. First is 11th class NCRT, an introduction to Indian art, which is must read. It will be your core focus area. Second is CCRT, you can refer it. Then whatever you are rating for history portion, for example medieval history Satish Chandra, ancient history R.S. Sharma, these two are NCRT, good NCRT. So there you can refer art and culture portion. Unacademy video are already there in YouTube. And whenever you read Hindu on Friday, Friday review is there. You can read the current issues or current art and culture themes in news and monthly magazines. So there are two books for art and culture. Let's move forward. 11th class NCRT, first source. Second, CCRT website. For current issues. We read monthly magazines. The Hindu Friday Review. Unacademy video are always there with you. You can see whenever you feel like watching these videos. Second is Indian history. Here we will see ancient, modern and medieval history. Okay, now there are very few questions from ancient and medieval history. Modern history is most important. So for ancient history, I would suggest only one book, which is NCERT by R.S. Sharma. You can refer this book. Medieval history, you should refer an NCERT by Satish Chandra. These two books, ancient one book, medieval one book. For modern history, you can refer two books, but focus should be on any one. You can either go for Spectrum or Bipin Chandra. Best way out is to read Spectrum and do selective reading of Bipin Chandra. Bipin Chandra book is a thick book, so you can read from Spectrum, selective reading from Bipin Chandra. So far I have mentioned one book for ancient, one book for modern, one book for medieval. So what we are doing, we are limiting our resources. For post-independence India, there is a book on of Bipin Chandra. You can refer that particular book, but don't read it thoroughly, because from post-independence, no questions are being asked in last few years. So focus less on it. One book. Unacademy video can be. They are very useful. You can read newspapers, because recent 3-4 years question are being asked from art, from history portion, which are currently in the news. So reading the Hindu, Indian Express newspaper covering monthly magazines, they can help you in history portion. So basically what we have done about ancient, we have referred only one book, R.S. Sharma, that is an NCERT. Medieval, Satish Chandra, NCERT. Modern, Spectrum or selective reading from Bipin Chandra. Also post independence, you have to read Bipin Chandra. Read it selectively. Now what should be your focus area? Only this portion. If you do not have time, you can ignore. I won't say ignore, but spend very less time. Read if you are giving mains 2020, read ancient history for 2 or 3 days. Read medieval history for 2 or 3 days. Don't spend much time on these two portion. Post independence is also not very important, so you can give 3-4 days, but spend most of time on modern history, because question usually come from modern history only. Unacademy video and the Hindu newspaper, Indian Express or monthly magazines can be referred for current affair. Now let us see the sources of world history. World history, there is a book by Norman Lowe. You can refer this book. Now read this book selectively. You don't have to read this book thoroughly. Read this term of syllabus mentioned only. You don't need to go through this entire book. Or you can read this book. It is also a good book. Pattern of Interaction by Littell, chapter 22 to 36. So any of these two books, Unacademy videos. There is also an important NCRT. So either you can read any of these three books. If you are referring NCRT, there is an NCRT Contemporary World History by J.S. Rajput, published by NCRT. So I would say it should be your sole or most important source. If you are not able to refer this book, Norman Levy can be referred, or otherwise Little book can be referred. There are few chapters 22 to 36 which can be referred, but the most important source is NCRT by J.S. Rajput, which is very important. Unacademy video is also there. So for world history, you have to refer J.S. Rajput. NCRT, we will focus on NCRT and standard books. Otherwise, you can refer Norman Levy or Littell. Let's talk about Indian society, where to prepare it. Now, before talking about the books of Indian society, let us see which kind of type of questions are being asked from Indian society. The question from Indian society are mainly current based. So your only source of Indian society portion should be NCRT, from where you can know the basic concepts. So NCRT sociology class 11th and 12th. It should be a first and only source for society. You can also refer to a specific edition of Yojana magazine. Yojana is very important. So refer a specific edition of Yojana magazine, Unacademy video on society portion, and because Indian society portion is current issue based, so refer newspaper. If you are reading Hindu newspaper, Indian Express, or any other newspaper and referring monthly magazines, so try to find out issues of society which are there in the news. So concept will come from these two NCRT. You will get to know the current issue from newspapers. So from society, for concept, NCRT 11th and 12th. For current affair, you have to refer newspaper and monthly magazine. You can also refer Yojana specific edition on society and Unacademy video. So it is an indicative book list of society portion. Now geography, where to read your geography. Geography, I have limited my sources toward to NCRT and GC Leong. Geography, basically we will focus on NCRT. So first is Fundamental of Physical Geography class 11th NCRT, first source. Second, India Physical 11th NCRT. We all read this NCRT for prelims. So same NCRT can be used in mains examination as well. Fundamental of Human Geography class 12th NCRT, and India People and Economy class 12th NCRT. So we are basically referring only 11th and 12th class NCRT. Also one more book to cover a specific topic like earthquake, tsunami, volcano, etc. That book is GC Leong. We know about this book. And Unacademy video on geography. There are they are nicely presented. Syllabus is beautifully covered in Unacademy video. So sources of geography are basically, we have got two sources, NCRTs, class 11th and 12th. There are 4 NCRTs, so you can refer this NCRT for geography. Second is GC Leong, and you always have Unacademy video with you, so you can refer Unacademy video. So these are book list of indicative book list of geography. Now what we have done in this book list, I have tried to limit my sources, which is very important, because for art and culture we have referred only one book, 11th class NCRT and CCRT. You can refer current issue. We read magazine, newspaper every day, so it can be used. For history, I have referred only one book for ancient, one book for medieval, one book for modern. Post independence also one book. World history only one book, NCRT by J.S. Rajput. Indian society only NCRT, and then current magazines are all, you already read current magazines. Geography I have only taken NCRT 11th 12th and GC Leong. Now why I have limited our sources, because we have a tendency, now UPSC market is flooded with content. You will get n number of books, n number of best material and compilation, good compilation questions. They will claim that questions are repeated from our sources. You can see this page number here and there and everything, but focus should be on NCRTs and standard books only. And you can refer Unacademy video, take hint from current sources. You can join me on my Telegram channel, Unacademy_Ashpal. Use referral code AJ01 for 10% off. Now there is a myth, and I will tell you the reality. GS paper 1 is a static paper. It is a myth. Now if you go through last 10 years paper, or if you scan through last 5 years paper, current issue are being asked in GS paper 1. Focus on dynamic aspect of history, art and culture, society and geography. Now when we think history is very static, the question from history paper, for example on art and culture, you will find art and culture question from topics which are there in news. From modern history, there will be question on, suppose there is 105th anniversary of some prominent leader, so that question might be asked. So modern history question are also asked from current person or places in news. Similarly, society all questions are generalist question, but they are asked based on current issues. So to assume that paper 1 is a static paper, it is difficult to answer paper 1. No, there is a large weightage of current issues, current affair in paper 1, and there are dynamic topics, history, art and culture, society, even geography. There might be something which is there in the news in geography and you can be asked. So prepare your paper 1 with current affair. Take help of Unacademy video, take help of newspaper, Hindu, Indian Express, any other source you feel like referring, or take help of monthly magazines, because question which will be asked, either they will be current issue based or interdisciplinary. So don't have this myth in your mind that GS paper 1 is static or complete static. No, it is not static. You can see the paper. Now let us come to our answer writing. Now this video is very detailed and comprehensive. We are covering each and every aspect. First, what we have seen so far, we have seen the scheme of examination. Then we have seen toppers marks in GS papers. We have seen toppers marks in GS1 paper. Then we wanted to know the demand of examination. To know the demand of examination, we have referred two sources: syllabus, previous year question paper. Fifth thing we have done weightage of each portion from last 5 years paper. Sixth, we have seen book list. Now this strategy is very comprehensive and detailed. We are covering each and every aspect of strategy. Now we are coming on answer writing of GS paper 1. Let's see how to write answer. Since GS paper 1 is your first paper of mains answer writing, if you are attempting it well, if you are doing well in GS paper 1, it will be a confidence booster for other paper as well. Now if you are not performing well because you haven't prepared GS paper 1, you haven't written GS paper 1 answer, it will reduce your confidence. You won't be able to perform well in other paper because that impression of first paper will be there in your mind. It is factual paper. Yes, factual. You have to remember many things. But there is enough scope for current issues as well. You have to keep these two things in mind. Factual how? There are many personalities, many events, many things going on, history, especially art and culture, modern India, ancient and medieval, which you have to remember. But you have to remember which issues are also there in the news so that you know the focus area. The subject is interdisciplinary, where the question on an ancient history may be related with the modern history. So they may ask you a question on interdisciplinary theme. So this is the basic about GS paper 1 answer writing. Now we will see each particular section in detail as how to deal with particular section. It is our GS paper 1 2019 mains examination paper. Now you have to, what you have to do, you have to download last 5 years GS paper 1 and see what kind of questions are being asked. So I'm not reading each and every question. I'm going to particular section, for example, how to write answers of geography. Now this particular slide is prepared with very carefully. It designed in such a way that you are able to fit good marks in geography portion. Geography is most scoring section in entire GS paper 1. Now why the question from geography are straightforward or easy question, you can see in last year's paper. There is high level of objectivity in geography questions, means either your question is correct or incorrect, and whenever there is an objectivity in your question, you will end up, if you are preparing well, you will end up fetching good marks. Why it is also scoring? Objectivity. Second, there is a large scope of structure. For example, you can draw map and diagram in each and every question, and drawing map and diagram will help you in fetching additional marks. So objectivity, map and diagram. You can also write name of location and marking with example, and this way you can extract maximum possible marks. So most scoring section, straightforward and easy question, lot of objectivity in questions answer are either correct or incorrect. You can draw map and diagram. You can, whenever you're drawing diagram, you can write the name of location, mark them, write examples, and these are basic tricks to fetch good marks. Now how to do it, we will take a example and we will do in the class itself. Now match drawing and diagram. First of all, you don't need to be perfect while drawing diagram. You can draw schematics. Now what are schematics? Schematics are basically row maps. For example, I don't have much time in examination, so I can draw a map of India in this way. Now how to use this map? Suppose I want to tell about the monsoon. So I will tell that the wind will come in this direction, monsoon will go in this way, retreating monsoon will go in this way. So schematic are very useful in geography. Now if you want to locate a particular section, then you have to draw the map. Otherwise you can use schematic. Schematic are rough map. Now it is taking me 5 seconds to draw this map. So schematic can be used on a large scale in geography. Map drawing and diagram. You should also learn the art of drawing the map, which I will also help you. I will also help you in drawing the map of India and world. We will do right now in the class itself. Now map and drawing, you don't need to have specific fact and data. Sometimes we don't draw the map of India and world, or a particular section, because we feel like we don't have specific fact and data. No, you don't need very specific fact and data to draw a map. Even if you know that there, you know high, medium, low and average. For example, let us draw a map of India. Now you don't have to be perfect while drawing the map of India. No, there is no need of perfection. It should appear like a map of India. Now I have drawn a map of India. Now suppose there is a question on rainfall on India, where I have to show the areas of maximum rainfall. Now I know the maximum rainfall in India takes place in Western Ghat. So I can demark this area as area A. Okay, so here there will be more rainfall. I also know that more rainfall takes place in northeast India. So I have also marked this area as area A. Similarly, I also know that there is good rainfall in Andaman Nicobar Island. So I have also marked this area as area A. So what is my area A? Area of high rainfall. Area of high rainfall. Now as you move away from this high area rainfall will decrease. So you can say this area is my area B, where there will be lesser rainfall, but you can say, let's assume it area of very high rainfall. B area is area of high rainfall. So again the area around this particular area here, area of high rainfall. So I have marked my area of very high rainfall, area of high rainfall. Now I also know that there is a desert in Rajasthan. This area is desertic landscape. There is also lesser rainfall in Rann of Kutch. So I can mark this area is area of rainfall deficient area. So my area C is rainfall deficient area. Again, here there is a particular area where there is few rainfall, so that is also area C, so rainfall deficient area. Now, do I need to have the data that in this particular area rainfall is more than 200 mm? No, I don't need. I have an idea that yes, Western Ghat is highest rainfall area. Northeast, there is some area which especially Meghalaya area which is receiving very high rainfall. Similarly, rainfall will decrease, but area just behind the Western Ghat will also have good rainfall. Here, this area will also have good rainfall. Andaman Nicobar is having very good rainfall. So, when on the basis of my common sense or general reading, I can draw a map. Now, there is nothing wrong in this map. You have drawn all the places correctly. So, that is why you don't have to shy away from drawing a map. So, no need for specific facts and data. You just have to apply your common sense. Now, suppose you are shying away from drawing a map. Another aspirant who is smarter than you, he is drawing this particular map. He will end up fetching good marks in comparison to you because he have represented his idea on a map beautifully. So examiner will give him good marks. So that's why no need to have specific data or fact. You have to know high, medium, low and average. For example, suppose let us do another exercise. Let us see if we want to say the area of earthquake zone in India, earthquake prone zone, prone area where earthquake might incur. Now we know that earthquake will incur around Himalaya because there is lot of tectonic activity going on there. So I am drawing the map of India. Now don't ask for perfection in the map drawing. You should be able to represent that yes, it is map of India. Okay. Now I'm talking about earthquake prone zone in India. So obviously this entire zone, wherever there is Himalaya, you can mark this area as A, high earthquake prone. Similarly, area just below this particular zone will be will also be earthquake prone zone. So mark it by dot. Now it is my area B. What is B? Medium earthquake prone zone. We also know there was an earthquake in Bhuj in Gujarat. So you can also mark this particular area as B. Rest of the area of India, you can mark it. For example, you can write plus plus and you can mark it area C. C is less earthquake prone zone. Now there is nothing wrong in this map. You have drawn or you have drawn your map correctly. You know that Himalaya, there is a tectonic activity, is it is one of the new old fold mountain of the world. So there will be tectonic activity. So it will have how high earthquake prone area. Then area just behind below this will have medium earthquake prone zone. There is earthquake in Gujarat, so it will also have medium earthquake prone zone. There are earthquake in Delhi around, so it will also have medium earthquake. Less prone zone is rest of the zone is less prone to earthquake. So your map is correct. You will end up fetching good marks. Now let us see flood prone zone, flood prone area in India. Now I am drawing a small map. Now flood will come to India. Flood will come in India in which areas? Wherever there is Himalayan river, flood will come. So Ganga is flowing here. So flood, if you read in the newspaper, there is flood in Bihar. We read in the newspaper. There is flood in West Bengal, flood in Assam every year, right? There is flood in Odisha. So the region where river Brahmaputra is flowing, so this region you can mark as flood prone region. So A. Similarly, area of Bihar, again Assam area have you have marked, Odisha also flood prone region. So that is flood prone region. Similarly, drought prone region, which will be drought prone region, the desertic area of India, which is Rajasthan, UP, and some part of Gujarat as well. So you can draw the map. There is no harm in drawing the map. You have to know only about high, medium, low, and average. Link your answer with current affair. Whenever in geography answer, wherever you feel like you can link your answer with current affair, link it. It will fetch you extra marks. Also, use human geography wherever it is possible. For example, you have to talk about, even if question is not on human geography, you have to talk about culture, society, demography, migration, etc. Because using human geography or human dimension in geography answer will end up fetching you good marks. For example, we have taken a question from 2019 paper. Discuss the causes of depletion of mangrove and explain their importance. Causes of depletion. Explain their importance in maintaining coastal ecology. Answer in 150 words. Now, first you have to draw a map where you have to locate the mangrove forest. Now, where will be mangrove forest in India? Largest mangrove forest in Sundarban in world. Mangrove forest will also be there in river delta. So delta of major river, be it Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, also in the Western Ghat, the region of Gujarat, they will also have mangrove forest. So I am drawing a schematic of India or a rough map of India. I am putting my map in a box and I want to show where are mangrove forests. So obviously largest mangrove forest in Sundarban. So you can mark a circle and tell that Ganga Delta in West Bengal. Here Mahanadi Delta, Odisha, Godavari Delta, Krishna and Kaveri. So obviously mangrove forest you can find in river delta. So Ganga, Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri. Also here at Goa coast you will find mangrove. There are some mangrove in Gujarat as well, Kutch, or you can take Gujarat coast. So what you have done, you have clearly marked the mangrove region of India. Now causes of depletion of mangrove, their importance you have to explain. Now this map is beautiful. Now you have drawn whatever you want to convey. It is depicting the all the area of mangrove forest in India. So examiner will end up giving you good marks. Now why there is a depletion on mangrove? So you can say there are 2-3 causes. For example, there are anthropogenic causes. Anthropogenic causes. Second is natural causes. Third is other causes. What are anthropogenic causes? Anthropogenic causes are basically induced by human. For example, clearing the forest for agriculture purpose, for timber, for uh, industries purpose, because of pollution, industrial waste, also because of household waste, over exploitation, ecological harm. So there are many man-made causes which are causing harm to the mangrove forest. Second, natural causes. You can say due to flood, sea level rise, also other causes. So you are telling the causes of loss of mangrove. Now what are the significance of mangrove? You can tell there are various significance. Mangrove are important for biodiversity. They are important fishing ground. They help in clearing pollution. They are important bird areas. They are important habitats. And wherever possible, give example. For example, Sundarban, Royal Bengal tiger. They are also World Heritage Site. For example, Sundarban is UNESCO World Heritage Site. So there are n number of significance of mangrove forest. Now, I also asked you to link your answer with current affair. So if you remember any current affair based topic on mangrove, you can link with it. For example, recently there was a World Bank report According to that report, the mangrove of Sundarban is sinking is sinking by 3 to 8 mm per year. So there is a threat of there is a threat of sinking the Sundarban mangrove. So World Bank report you can quote, and then at the end you can conclude. So what we have done? First we have drawn a map. Part A, we have drawn a map. We have shown where are mangrove. Second, we have told about the causes of mangrove loss, depletion. Third part, we have told about the importance, and we have also given a recent issue which was there in the news. I remember it, so I wrote it, and at the end you can write a conclusion. So you will end up fetching good marks by attempting in this way. Now let us move forward. How to write sociology or society answer? Now, one difficulty in sociology question is they are very generic questions. Means you will feel like the question is very generalist. What to write in this question? So question are easy to understand, but difficult to write. Second problem with sociology answer is they are based on current issues. So you need to update yourself. Third is because the question is too generic and sometimes they are abstract question. So there is lesser objectivity in sociology answer. So again it becomes difficult to answer sociology questions. Now how to deal with sociology question? Let's see. First, whenever you will see sociology question, if you scan through last 10 years paper, you will find there are some terms being asked in sociology. For example, the question will be on secularism, communalism, globalization, regionalism, or these terms are already given in your syllabus. So best way to write a good sociology answer is to have already a ready-made crisp and concise definition of terminology. For example, you should know the meaning of secularism. It should be ready to use with you. You should know the meaning of communalism, globalization, regionalism, ready to use definition with you. So whenever there is a question on communalism or globalization, you are able to write crisp and concise definition with you. Second, how to deal with the questions? Write question in parts because there are 2 or 3 parts asked in a question. So you have to address each part of the question. You have to prepare the structure of the answer. Try to write as much objective as possible. To bring objectivity in the answer, use example and facts because question is highly subjective. So you to fetch good marks you need to bring objectivity in the question. Also always write a conclusion and way forward in sociology answer. You can use phrase, quotation, and using of DPSP and preamble is very important sociology answer. You can use preamble of Indian Constitution and directive principle of state policy, which are good phrases. They can be used in conclusion and way forward. So let us take a sociology question and how to answer is question number 10 of 2019 GS paper 1. What was the question? What are the challenges of our cultural practices in the name of secularism? Answer in 150 words. What are the challenges to our cultural practices in the name of secularism? So here there is a term which is secularism. Now I told you that we need to have ready to use definition. So you need to know the definition of secularism. Now I have written the definition of secularism. Separation of religion from the state and its politics. It treats religion as private and personal affair. That is the definition of secularism. So you can use this definition in your answer. Question is asked in various parts. What are the challenges to our cultural practices in the name of secularism? Part 1, you will have to address what is India's approach to secularism. Second, what Indian constitution says about secularism. Third, why there is a conflict between idea of secularism and our cultural practices. Fourth, you have to give some example, and at the end you should give some conclusion. And this way you can deal your question properly. We have ready to use definition, so we can start our answer with this definition, that separation of religion from state and its politics is secularism. The concept treat religion as a private and personal affair. Part 1, what is India's approach to secularism? So you don't need to write in detail here, but you can write keywords. For example, India always believe in Sanatan Dharma, which is Hinduism, Veda, Upanishada, Samrat Ashoka, Jainism, Buddhism, and Akbar. They all advocated the principle of secularism. Akbar, Sulah e Kul, Deen e Ilahi, Jainism and Buddhism. Samrat Ashoka was also advocated non-violence and peaceful existence of all religion. Sanatan Dharma is ancient religion of India. So basically, it is also advocating secularism. So you can start your answer in part 1. Part 2 is what Indian Constitution. What is secularism for Indian Constitution? So basically, India is a Dharma Nirpeksh Raj. What is Dharma Nirpeksh? Indifference of the state to religion, not separation of state from the religion. Basically, Indian constitution assume the positive secularism. We have adopted positive secularism, where in western country there is a separation of state from the religion. In India we have got indifference of state to the religion. So we believe in Sarva Dharma Sambhav. You can also quote article 25 to 30 to justify your stand or to substantiate your Sarva Dharma Sambhav stand. So we talk about the history, we talked about Indian constitution. Now you will talk about why there is a conflict between idea of secularism and our cultural practices. So conflict is because religion and politics. There is also communal politics, competitive politicization and judicial interventions. How judicial intervention? There are many cases. For example, triple talaq. Triple talaq is a religious matter, but Supreme Court has given its judgment. Jallikattu was banned. Entry of women into Sabrimala temple, Shani Shignapur temple. Now, judicially, there was an intervention of judicially in uh, religious matters. So again, there was a dispute over it. Demand of uniform civil code, which is there for years. So these are some of the example you can use in your answer to substantiate your argument. At the end, in conclusion, you need to balance that. We need to balance the idea of cultural practices and secularism to have peaceful coexistence of both these ideas. If you are addressing all these dimensions, now there is more objectivity in your answer. Since initially it was appearing that how to write it, but you have divided, you have written definition, you have divided question answer into parts, you have also given some examples, so it becomes easy for you to write the answer. And also examiner will end up giving you good marks because you have written in objective way. Let's move forward. We have understood the art of writing answer in geography portion. This was sociology section. Let's move forward. Let's see how to write art and culture answer. First of all, before writing to the answer to the art and culture section, while reading art and culture and history, you need to have analytic mindset. For example, even if you are reading any art form, try to understand the context and see the larger perspective. This too will help you in analyzing your topic in better way. Also see social, economic and political dimensions of your art and culture topic. So if you are thinking about all these dimensions, reading in context, seeing in larger perspective, social, political, economic dimensions are evaluated by you while reading, you will able to deal the question properly, because you don't have to mug or memorize all the fact, but you are actually feeling or you are actually analyzing while reading. Now whenever read write art and culture answer, substantiate your answer or analysis with examples. Example writing is very important. Now you can also use diagram while art and culture answer. For example, suppose you have to talk about architecture where you are talking about temple architecture, and you have to compare Nagara style with Dravidian style. So you can draw diagram and tell the differences that in Nagara these are key features, in Dravidian style these are key features, in Vesara style these are key features. So drawing diagram also become important. So whenever and wherever it is possible, draw the diagram. It will bring a refinement in your answer. History answer writing. Similar approach in history answer writing. Whenever you read history, try to analyze your history. Now don't focus on memorizing facts, memorizing year, battles and facts. You have to analyze the topic, you have to see the context. So focus rather on understanding underlying causes and consequences, that if a particular event is happening, if a particular incident is happening, what are the causes and consequences, why it is happening. Now if it is happening, what will be its consequences. So read in that particular direction. While answer writing, write as many examples as possible. So you have to you have to write many examples and draw map whenever possible in history. If you are writing about world history, draw map. If you are writing about Indian history, draw map. I will also help you in writing drawing the map of world. For example, let us draw a schematic of world map. Now this is a schematic of world map. You don't need to make perfect map, it should appear like a world map. So focus on that. Now if you're talking about World War First, World War Second, Cold War, anything you are writing in your history answer, world history, you can draw a map and mark the places, locate them. By drawing a map, your answer looks refined. You are able to represent the idea of your answer in better way. So Try to draw world map or map of India or schematic and diagram whenever and wherever possible. It will help you in fetching good marks. Now, final words about the strategy. No strategy is foolproof. Foolproof. Take hint from a particular strategy and devise your own strategy. Maybe strategy of first ranker might not work for you. So you better way is to take hint from the strategy of people for whom that particular strategy worked and devise your own method. That is the best way out. I hope this class was very detailed, comprehensive. I hope it was useful to you. Join my Telegram channel unacademy_Ashpal. Use referral code AG01. Like, share and subscribe. Let us meet tomorrow 8 to 9 a.m. Thank you very much.